What's up my book bestie boos and baes? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Meli. Today we're going over the 8 books that gave me the biggest book hangover of my life. Let's jump in. Now these are in no particular order, but we're going to start off with The Takeover by T.L. Swan. This is the second book in her Miles High series. I absolutely love this book. It was my favorite in the entire series. This follows Tristan, who is one of the brothers. In this series, each book is about a different brother. Tristan falls for a single mom, and she happens to be a businesswoman. She's a badass CEO. She's feisty. She's not looking for someone necessarily to take care of her, because she's very much so like, I can handle myself, I can take care of myself. The single mom has 3 kids, and the 3 kids are comedy. When Tristan enters the picture, they're like absolutely not. It is exactly what you would expect from a rom-com. I love this like found family aspect. I love the way that Tristan was in this book. He's a true book boyfriend, supportive, present, willing to put in the work. I just love their story. I love the way that they fell in love together, and then add in the added aspect of the kids falling in love with him too and accepting him, and them turning into like this big happy family, and it's everything that I want and more. This was funny. I literally laughed out loud so many different times during this book because of the absolute comedy of what these kids put him through in order for him to be able to date their mom. After I read this, I couldn't even finish the actual series because I was not interested in any of the other brothers, and I didn't pick up another book for over 2 weeks. Up next, we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez writes her characters in a way that literally makes you feel like they're real people that you know in real life. She connects you to them in a very heartfelt way that has you like cheering them on throughout the story, and when bad things happen to them, it really is like gut-wrenching. She's phenomenal in the way that she writes connection. The way that she writes spice is so tasteful and put together and perfectly timed. It doesn't feel rushed, but her books are more than just about the romance in them, even though they are romance books. It is really truly wrapped around a story and a plot that is heartwarming and realistic that I love, love, love her writing. I also really love her book Yours Truly, but Just for the Summer gave me the biggest book hangover ever. It follows Emma and Justin. Emma is a traveling nurse. She has some familial issues, especially with her mother, that come into play in this book a lot. In this book, Justin's mother ends up doing something that's illegal, and she ends up getting locked up. He has to take over guardianship of his 3 younger siblings, and this all gets wrapped up in the book. So it's like messy in the sense of Justin is pushed into being in a parent role when he didn't have any kids. Emma's dealing with her toxic mother, who decides to show up in the middle of the book when she's trying to live her life. But this entire thing starts when they find each other through a Reddit thread, because Emma, every time Emma dates someone, the next person that they date or fall in love with is like their one person they're meant to be with, like their one true love. The same thing happens to Justin. So Justin, every time he dates someone and they break up after a couple of months, the very next person that person dates after Justin ends up finding their one true love too. So they decide to date for the summer so that when they break up after the summer, they can find their one true love as well. This book had me laughing, it had me crying, it had me missing the characters when I finished it. I loved it so much that like I couldn't even pick up another book. No other rom-coms could touch this, so I had to completely switch genres just to get back into reading after like a week and a half, 2 weeks. The next book is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second book in a duology. The first book is called One Dark Window. I absolutely loved this duology. I wanted more after this book. This book in particular, I would say is like a 6-star read for me. I rated One Dark Window 5 stars, and I absolutely love that book too, but this one just took it up a notch. I mean, the magic system, the found family, the secrets, the betrayal that is in this, the history that's associated with it. I absolutely loved it. It was whimsical and captivating and completely immersive in the way that Rachel Gillig writes, and it was a very unique magic system that I absolutely loved reading about. This was one of those duologies that I wish was a trilogy, because I just wanted more from this story, and there was some side characters in this that I would love to see a book about them and their love story, and it just left me wanting even more, and I couldn't get into another fantasy book after this, and I had to dive into a rom-com. Up next is the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. This book has the appropriate amount of hype. I would say it even deserves a little bit more. This is an omnibus. This is 5 short novellas in one book. Absolutely love this. She's a serial killer. He's the FBI agent who's hunting her, and they fall in love. I never thought that I would be on a serial killer's side and rooting for her the way that I root for this main female character. I love her. She is a badass. Lana Myers is her name, and everything that she does in the way of being a serial killer is deserved. I'm gonna say it. The stories, the plot twists, the love, the connection, even the friendships in this were amazing. I felt like when I read this book, I blinked and it was over. It was one of those that like you start it at night and you're like, I'm just gonna read a couple chapters, and then before you know it, it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you finish the entire thing. I absolutely recommend the audiobook for this one. It was so good, but it is in like 5 different separate audios that you can get on like Audible. This is the book that I tell people when they want to get into dark romance or they're looking to get into reading. This is the book that I recommend, and every single person that has actually read it that I've recommended it to is like, oh my god, what's next? What do I go into after this? How do I move on from this book? They have devoured it. They absolutely loved it. And there's a reason why everybody loves it after they read it. Then we have Namesake by Adrienne Young. long. This is the second book in the duology. The first book in this duology is called Fable. This was such a unique book. I have never read a book by Adrienne Young before, and the way that Adrienne Young writes is so immersive, so captivating. She is like, writes stories and romance in a way that is just not typically done. This is about a young woman named Fable. Her dad ends up like slicing into her arm and then leaving her on an island for dead. This is about ships, pirates. She's a dredger, which means that she dives like hundreds of feet into the ocean looking for precious gems. It was absolutely phenomenal. There's found family in here. It's a very, very, very slow burn type of book, but you earn it. And it's so much more than just the romance in this book. It is the story. The story itself just has you rooting for this woman and wanting her to find out why so many people have lied to her, why she's in the situation she has, what actually happened to her mother who passed away when she was very young from a shipwreck. There's so many twists and turns and lies and deceit, and there's some very dark elements to this one too, which you wouldn't expect, like especially from the cover and the fact that I feel like there's not a lot of trigger warnings associated with it. There's some dark scenes that happen in this book as well, but I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with the characters and the storyline, and the character development was phenomenal in this book. Over the two books, like the expansion of the characters and how they develop overall was a masterpiece. And this one I also couldn't pick up another book for like 3 weeks after this. Up next we have To Touch a Reaper by R.R. Mangold. This one is also unique. I'm realizing now that a lot of these books are unique in their own way. This is a female reaper. Like if you think of like reapers that come to collect your soul when you die, this is a female reaper and a male nurse romance. Okay, this is a paranormal romance. It does not end in your typical happily ever after, but what I will say is this author recently just came out with a novella that extends right after this book, and when you finish this book you're gonna want to read the novella, so you might as well just pick them both up. The novella is very, very short. I think it's like 60 pages, but it wraps up this story perfectly, and I can't tell you a lot about the novella because they'll ruin the ending of this book. And when this book ended I was sobbing. Okay, like I was so fucking sad because I did not like how dirty she did my characters at the end. There was definitely some positives in this book, but I am somebody who really wants her like perfectly rounded and wrapped up happily ever after. You do not get this in this. It is a happily ever after, but not what you would expect. But the storyline and everything that happens and the world that's created and the angels and demons and reapers and ghosts and like so many things that wraps up into this made it such a fun read. Then we have Timber by Tate James. She's a thick one, but this one I literally loved the way that this wrapped up. There was so much drama. It was so fast paced, but everything, this is the last book in a 4-book series. Everything got wrapped up so well inside of this series, and I love a strong female character, and this is about a woman who is the leader of the biggest gang in her area. Okay, did you hear what I said? Not only that, this is reverse harem. This is 3 sexy, delicious men and 1 woman who is a fucking badass who puts everybody in their place. She's literally the leader of the gang. Okay, she is the boss. She is the top one, the head honcho. One of her men is basically like a special agent. The other one is like another gang member, fully tattooed everywhere over his body. And then the third one is a stripper. Like Magic Mike style stripper. Okay, and they're all obsessed with her. They're all jealous of each other. Like they literally fight over her constantly. They bicker over her constantly. They don't share well, but they share just because they know that they can't have her unless they do. Incredible spice, incredible storyline. She is a psychotic ex, and that's kind of where this entire series goes, is dealing with issues in the gang realm, but also issues with her psychotic ex trying to capture and torture her. Some very dark elements, so make sure that you check your trigger warnings for this entire series, but I absolutely love this. This is a series that I reread. Okay, that's how good it is, because like I feel like I need to be back in that world and back with these characters because I loved it so much. Like it was such a fun time, and there's so many different elements to this entire series that I just ate it up. Could not pick up another book for multiple weeks after this because nothing compared to the way that this series made me feel. And last but certainly not least is The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. This book tore me to shreds, and it did not put me back together. Okay, normally it's very easy for me to tell you what I rate a book, but with this book it's completely different because the way that it was written, 5 stars, instant 5 stars. It was beautifully written. The story was a masterpiece, absolutely phenomenal writing, character development, character attachment, storyline in the way that it went, eventful, all of those things. But in the way that it made me feel, the way that it left me feeling, even now today when I think about it, 0. Negative a million. Like this literally was so unnecessarily heartbreaking gut-wrenching, tragic, terrible. This book was tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. It was terrible things that kept happening. And Rebecca Yarros will make you fall in love with a character and then she'll kill them. And this has a lot of triggers that I feel like are not talked about enough. This has child cancer. This has child death. This has family death. It goes on and on and on and on. And the way that this book ended to me was not a happy ending. The way that it ended was there was tragedy, 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 right? And then finally everything clears. Everyone's happy. It looks like it's going to be the perfect happy ending. If it would have ended right there, holy shit, one of the best books I've ever read, okay? If it would have ended right there. But she felt like it wasn't enough. She needed to add in one more tragedy, and it was the biggest one of the entire book. It was terrible. It was, I will cry thinking about it now, and it's been over a month. It's been 2 months. Oh my God, 2 months since I read this book, and I do not recommend it to anybody, especially if you are someone who can't handle some of the triggers that I just spoke about. I have every single person that has not listened to me and decided to read it has regretted it. Every single one. But it is such a mind fuck because you are like, wow, beautifully written, phenomenal book, like crazy, crazy good. Makes you feel terrible for extended. This is a book that sticks with you probably for life. This is a book that I will probably always say is one that I regret reading because of how it makes me feel and the things that it made me feel and the things that it made me feel when I finished it. When I tell you I sobbed, uncontrollably sobbed for over an hour after I finished this. My husband was like, what is going on? Did somebody actually die in our real life? Like, what happened? It was that bad, and I'm not even being dramatic. It was just absolutely terrible. So this left me with the biggest book hangover because I did not want to read again. It literally made me depressed after I read it. And I did not pick up another book again for over 3 weeks, and it was only because Onyx Storm came out. So I did not pick up a single book, and I normally read probably around 8 books a month on a normal month, but I didn't pick up a single one until Onyx Storm came out. That was the only way that I was able to get past that book hangover. Fucking insanity. But that was it for the 8 books that gave me the biggest freaking book hangovers of my life. Some for good reasons, some for not so good reasons. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.